Hello and welcome back to A Girl in a Panda Suit. This weekend I went to Comic-Con and unfortunately I did not end up taking any footage from Comic-Con, but we can still talk about it and I do want to show you some of the things I got at Comic-Con and stuff like that. I guess I'll start by talking about Comic-Con. I got there a little bit later than I had hoped, and at first I actually started walking around Artist Alley because that's my jam, but then I realized pretty quickly that I should probably go to the celebrity area to see if John de Lancie was there because I didn't want to miss my chance to meet him. So I went there and he was there. His lineup was not that long, so I got in line, and that was terrifying, just waiting in line to meet him. I didn't, pay for an autograph or a photo or anything like that. I really just wanted to tell him that I was a huge fan. So I get up to him, and I pretty much just say that, and then it just becomes completely awkward because I have nothing else to say except I'm a huge fan. So I think I said I'm like a huge fan like twice. And he definitely had this like awkward look on his face, so I knew I was not doing well. And he was nice about it. I think he asked me like what I do with my life or something like that. And I think I rambled about how I'm a writer and an artist. And then in hindsight, I realized I should have been like, oh, I just started a YouTube channel about Star Trek. I should have mentioned that because I feel like that would have been more appropriate. But I embarrassed myself with both Robert Picardo and John de Lancie. So I guess that's a theme that's going to happen now. Maybe I can meet everybody and just embarrass myself, and then I'll be known as the one who just doesn't know how to talk to people. So it could have gone worse. I feel like it could have gone worse. I also ended up meeting up with a friend of mine who is much better at meeting celebrities. So that was nice. And then on the way out of the celebrity area, I noticed that Corbin Burnson was back. He didn't seem as nice about it. He had this smile, like that Henry Spencer smile. But he had nothing to say to my, I'm a huge fan comment. So that was that. Very awkward. And then we left. And then I managed to go around Artist Alley more and some of the retailers and stuff. I was actually looking for a specific retailer. The vendor wasn't there this year, so that sucks. Couldn't find anything to replace what I would normally get, so I didn't end up getting anything. But I did get myself some stuff. And I guess I'll just jump into that. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to show you that I got is the Bulbasaur planter. I was pleased to get this at Comic-Con and actually finally have it, so I'm looking forward to planting something in there. The company that makes that actually makes other Pokemon related like household kitschy items, I guess. And I got another one. So I got the Charmander Tea Light. This one you can actually, well, I feel like for a lot of their stuff you can actually get a DIY paint yourself version of it. So since I can paint, I got the paint yourself one to save a few dollars, and it's Charmander sleeping on like the stump. It reminds me of the Origin episode, which is forever the saddest episode of Pokemon ever, and always why I choose Charmander every single time I start Pokemon. The next thing I got, you are going to think I'm crazy, and maybe I am, but I had to buy this thing. So the next thing I got is a Star Trek cat cape in yellow. So I got this because I actually already have one in red, which matches my red Star Trek shirt, which I wore to Comic-Con this weekend. The red one belongs to my cat Dax, but I actually adopted a new cat this year, so I thought I would get another one for Delilah. And maybe I'll try to get some footage of that for you guys. Normally I actually buy a lot of fan art. I don't have any more space for fan art on my walls, and I didn't actually really see anything that like stood out to me A lot of the pieces that actually stood out to me, I've seen year after year. I guess that's why you have to go to different cons and different stuff so that you can have different artists and different options to choose from. So I didn't really get any like big pieces, but I did get a few things just because I like supporting the artists that go there. I got a couple bookmarks. I got a Pokemon one, which is like it's sushi. It's like the evolutions of Eevee. So I also got a BTS one. So we got Tae. We got Jungkook. I'm a huge fan. I'm not going to talk about that here. If you want to talk about it, find me on Stan Twitter. I also got another thing BTS related. I got a set of stickers. It's a set of 7 stickers. They called them Flower BTS because it's like pink and it's got flowers and stuff, and you can't see it because my lighting. Oh, there we go. This is super random, but I had to get it. I don't know why. I got this like really light pink hair extension. It's super long. It was $2. Why not? So the last but not least thing, I think it's actually the first thing that I bought when I was there, just spoke to me. I saw it from across the aisle sitting on the table. I got this 3D printed Cubone skull. It's lightweight. I don't really know what purpose it serves other than existing, but I love it. Kind of into skulls lately, and I'm actually working on a series of acrylic Pokemon paintings, and the one that is my favorite by far so far has been my Cubone, and I think it's because I really like his skull. I don't know why. So I got it. It's gonna sit on my desk. It's gonna look so good against the black desk, and I just had to buy it. I don't know, it just spoke to me, so I got it. I think that's all I got at Comic-Con this year. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it always adds up. Because of that, I think I'm going to take a bit of a break from doing the cons. I feel like over the last few years, I've gone to both Comic-Con and Fan Expo every year, and that's a lot of money, especially because Comic-Con and Fan Expo are basically the same thing, except Fan Expo is twice as big, and Fan Expo has the Star Trek booth. I think if I do just choose one or the other, it's probably going to be Fan Expo. Anyway, that's pretty much it for my adventures at Comic-Con. I'm really sorry I didn't get any footage. I feel like so far this episode has not had anything to do with Star Trek except for the fact that I met John de Lancie. So let's just spin off of that. John de Lancie, who plays Q of the Q Continuum. He's not the only person who plays Q. Q is kind of a hard concept to explain, but he's the most recognized Q. So I'm just going to refer to him as Q. So he's introduced in Next Generation. I actually didn't like him in the first episode that he was in. It was the trial episode, and oh my god, I did not like him at all. Like, I just, he plays the antagonist who's holding Enterprise hostage, puts them on trial for the sins of all of humanity, because that's the kind of thing that Q can do. It just seemed like really outlandish, but I'm glad that he was introduced because he actually ended up being one of my favorite character duos of Star Trek, and he ended up having some pretty good roles and episodes. He was in Voyager. I mean, I'm watching that right now, so I know he is. I can't remember about Deep Space Nine for some reason, but he's definitely in Voyager as well. I really liked him in Next Generation because him and Picard had a really nice relationship. I also found it intriguing how like his race and his self could have such an influence on reality and the future and time and everything. And actually one of my favorite episodes is when Q throws the Enterprise into deep space and they end up having first contact with the Borg, and Guinan's there and she's all like, you gotta leave now, the Borg are terrible. Basically Q has introduced them to a species that they shouldn't have met for a really long time, and it kind of escalates the whole Borg Federation or humanity conflict, which I guess is pretty intense. I really like that episode for some reason. I think it's because both characters hold, like, two characters in that episode hold a lot of mystery. Both Q, who is like this weird, omniscient, collective. It's really hard to explain. Actually, I'm gonna try to Google that, see if I could do better. But then also Guinan, who you never really find out about her race until I think way later in the canon. Gosh, I can't remember what her species is called. You find out way later. Her species is like a huge mystery throughout all of Next Generation, and she kind of just alludes to the fact that they've been around for a really long time. They were primarily destroyed, and the ones who survived kind of just, you know, went all directions in the galaxy. So they don't really have like home anymore. And yeah, so I really like that episode and Hugh's character in general. And he ends up being like more of a softie over time. Like he's comes on so hard at the beginning, like in Next Generation when he's, you know, hating on humanity for being so disgusting. But then ends up like really becoming friends with Picard and then finding like a new appreciation for humanity. And then he even goes so far as to name Catherine Janeway as the godmother to his son in Voyager. I did like that transition and that character development. I'm all about character development, which is probably why I like Star Trek so much, because there's so many different characters and they're all so unique and so many different interactions and different relationships between all of the characters. So I really definitely appreciate that from a writer's point of view. I studied writing in university and have been a television addict since I can remember. And my favorite thing about everything pretty much is always character development. Good character development is hard to come by these days. So I definitely like his character. I feel like he was actually supposed to just be like a one-off, one-time episode type thing, but they kept bringing him back, and I'm really glad that they did and that it lasted throughout different series. I always like when they have some characters from older series in the newer ones. Like, I definitely appreciated that Worf was in Deep Space Nine and also O'Brien. I was like, there was another one there, O'Brien. And so I'm glad that Q's in Voyager. I feel like it's the only character that really makes sense to bring into Voyager because he has the capability of showing up anywhere at any time. I guess it was really the only feasible character to bring into Voyager, but I'm glad he's there. And that's all I really have to say about Q right now. I'm still really highly embarrassed about meeting John de Lancie, so hopefully I can get over that soon, and hopefully the next time I try to meet a Star Trek character, I will have practiced first and not embarrass myself. That is the goal. So thanks for watching another episode of A Girl in a Panda Suit. Give it a thumbs up if you feel like it, and subscribe somewhere down here. I'm not really sure how this works. If you want to. I will be back probably every week if I can keep up with it. Thank you again for coming, and I guess live long and prosper or something.